I'm gonna tell you all my secrets on how to get a flawless base every time. Your makeup can only look as good as your skin will let it, so you need to start a skincare routine as soon as possible. At least a cleanser, toner, and moisturizer. If you want to add some serums in there, that's totally up to you. But those three things are a definite must for the start of a flawless base routine. I've already cleansed, toned, and moisturized my face and let it set in, so now we're about to go in with our primer. I like to use a mixture of two different primers. I use a gripping one on my nose and on the edges of my face, and then I use a smoothing and blurring primer where my pores are more large. You can skip this step if you don't have any dark spots or any blemishes or anything like that. I have a few blemishes, so we're gonna go now in and correct those areas to cover them. I like to use this yellowy olive one that I have in this palette because it has the green tones and the yellow tones to cancel out the pinkness. And if you have dark spots, you want to use a more orangey tone corrector. And what you want to do on those spots is go through and feather out the edges. You don't want to blend out the center area. You want to leave that be and let it dry down. I know we look a little crazy, but now that that's dried down, we want to go in with a concealer shade that is the shade of our skin tone. Do not use a lighter one and do not use a darker one. If you use a lighter one, it'll make the blemish stand out more. And if you use a darker one, it will bring more depth and indentation into your face. We're gonna let that dry down for a few minutes and then we're gonna come back with foundation. So now we're gonna take our foundation and pump some on the back of our hand. We're gonna take a kind of dense foundation brush and just swirl it around on the back of our hand to evenly coat the foundation on the brush. And then we're just gonna go in and feather it out towards the edges of our face. You don't wanna go too heavy with this in the beginning because you can always build up. It's easier to add than it is to take away. Make sure that you're pressing the foundation into your face and not swiping it around. And you also wanna make sure you don't put too much foundation under your under eyes because you are gonna be putting concealer there, which is very thick normally. So you don't want it to get cakey. Now you want to take a beauty sponge and press in the product and really push it into your skin and make sure that there's no brush streaks anywhere. And I know you're probably wondering, why didn't you initially just apply the foundation with the sponge if you're gonna go back through and go over it with the sponge? It's because over the years of me doing makeup, I've tested using a sponge, using a brush. I like using a brush better because you get more full coverage. When you use a sponge, a lot of the product soaks into the sponge and then you get less coverage. It's a little bit more of an extra step, but it's definitely worth it when you're trying to get that flawless complexion. After foundation, I always go in with contour, and with this I do the same thing as the foundation. I warm it up on the back of my hand. I never go directly into the face like how a lot of people do. I take a smaller dense brush and swirl the brush into the product same way. And disclaimer, you do not have to copy the exact products that I'm using, and you don't have to copy the exact routine I'm doing. Your face shape is not the same as mine. Your skin type is probably not the same as mine. So use what products work best for you, and also use the placement that works best for your face shape.
We are tapping the product in. We are not swiping, we are tapping.
Right now, I'm just gonna apply it in the areas that I'm supposed to. I'm not worrying about if it's blended all the way out good enough or not, because that's not what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to get the application. When it comes to contour shades, you want to find something more cool tones because we're trying to create shadows and depth in our face, not warm up our face yet. That's where bronzer comes in. This next step is optional, but I like to go in with a cream or a liquid blush before I put on my concealer. I always do this just for like that extra layer of protection because I've noticed that blush is always the first to go if I only use a powder. Another secret with blush for me is I like to apply it to the high points of my cheekbones versus on the apples of my cheeks, or I've even seen some people, they put it like in the center of their cheek where contour goes. I feel like that just makes you look old. It doesn't look right, at least on my face shape. So I always put it up here because it gives me a nice snatched and fierce lift. Now this is a have to for me. If you have dark circles, lack of sleep, if you're a mom, I have to correct my under eyes. I have under eye bags and you can see them like crazy, especially when I've gotten a lack of sleep. So this just conceals those completely. Now I'm just gonna take a few minutes to let that sit in and kind of dry down a little bit, and then I'm gonna go in and blend it out for real. I use this pinky peach tone corrector, but if you're a deeper skin tone, you might want to use something more in this shade range. I could just leave this like this and go ahead and apply some powder,
but I like to go the extra mile. I want more coverage.
So I'm gonna take my favorite concealer right now and go ahead and apply some dots of that here, here, and here. Now we have to set it in place, but instead of going in with a powder puff or something like that, we're just going in with this tiny brush with a little bit of product on it, and we're just gonna tap it into our under eyes. Nothing too crazy. We don't want it to get super cakey. We just want to set it enough so that it doesn't move or crease. I'm also going to take some of that powder and press it into my T-zone because that's where I get the most oily at. Now you can stop there and just leave it set with the translucent setting powder, or you can go the extra mile and get that extra brightness, and you can use a colored brightening powder. And again, use the shade that's best for your undertone. You want to use peach, yellow, or this pinky one. I'm gonna go in with a powder puff with this one, but I'm tapping off the excess on the back of my hand and then going and pressing it into my under eye. Now while that's baking in, we're gonna go in with our powder products of our bronzer and our blush, and we're gonna set in place all the cream products that we applied before. Guys, even with the powder products, we are pressing them into the skin. We're not swiping. It does not look good. It looks patchy, streaky, and muddy whenever you swipe the products across your face. And again, same with blush. We're pressing it in just to set in that liquid blush and get everything all meshed together. It's starting to come together so great. Now for more pressing, we're gonna take a clean fluffy brush and just press everything to get that airbrushed flawless blend. We're almost at the end of this. It's coming out so good. It's literally flawless every time. Now for the finishing touches, I spray my first coat of setting spray. Set your face first and then go in with your favorite highlighter. I use my finger for this to get the placement super precise, because I noticed that in the past whenever I used to use a brush, it would just kind of get all over the place, and then it would make that big giant highlighter line, and I cannot stand that. That is so ugly to me. That's not where light would naturally hit your face. You want to do it like on the high points of your cheekbones, your brow bone, the center of your forehead, down the center of your nose. You can even add a little bit to your chin. I do that lightly because we don't want to look like the crimson chin. And now we go in with our second and final round of setting spray just to lock everything in. That, you guys, is my fully detailed, precise, flawless base routine.